Today is stretch and strength yoga. We are gonna probably make use of the blocks a little and a band if you want to play with it. We are going to work on frog pose. So if you have blankets or towels to put under your knees, that can help with your comfort in that stretch. So grab props, get anything you might need. And we're going to start on our backs. So landing on your back, getting comfortable on the ground, starting to really land on the ground. Bringing your feet up, knees together, letting your lower back really soften. Letting your shoulders land on the ground and grounding. So we begin practice by really grounding, landing in present moment in time on your mat. Letting go of worries of tomorrow. Letting go of anything that's not just you on the mat right now. Maybe give your feet a little wiggle. Feel the mat below you. And take a few moments to really let your shoulders land on the ground. So really take a moment to notice if they're pulling forward, they're feeling tense. And start to lower and soften. With each breath in, breathe in fresh. And with every exhale, imagine the muscles around your shoulders, pulling your shoulders forward, beginning to soften and relax with each exhale, slowly drawing your shoulders down into the ground. And take a moment to really notice what is present in the neck. Feel the muscles of your face. Maybe scrunch up your face so you can really feel the muscles of your face, and then soften and loosen the face. And if the mind is still buzzing, maybe taking a few solid long breaths in and sighing out of the mouth. Imagine really letting it go with each exhale. And then make your hands warm by rubbing them together. Rub the hands together, make them nice and warm. And then place them right underneath the rib cage. So right underneath where all the muscles of the breathing muscles, the tightness around breathing might occur. And for a few breaths, just imagining the warmth of your hands can soften any tension resting here. And notice what happens to your shoulders when you do that. Did your shoulders pull back forward? Try to soften them back into the ground. And if it's comfortable for you to just stay here for a few more breaths, imagining the warmth of your hands, softening any tension. Otherwise, you can experience pulling slightly with your fingertips. So finding the skin and pull slightly outwards, right in underneath the rib cage. So a little soft pull. Just imagining moving around in this space, feeling if there's any muscle tightness. So breathe in deeply. Fill up your lungs. And then as your lungs breathe out, maybe a little deeper with the fingers. Just gentle exploration of what's going on here, particularly if your shoulders are pulled forward. Just notice if there's any muscle tension. Maybe you're perfectly soft here. Just a little gentle exploration with the fingers, finding what is present in this space. Letting your breath help you massage this space, just softly. See if with each breath you feel like you're making a little more space for your breath. And then soften your hands down to the ground and notice if your shoulders fall a little more easily to the ground. And then we'll begin to move with our breath. So bring our feet about hip width apart. We're going to inhale, lift arms up overhead. And exhale, slowly push the arms down towards the ground. Inhale up. And exhale down. Trying to keep this movement in the arms and shoulders. Watch for a lot of movement in your back. Just starting to connect with moving with your breath. And explore any natural pauses that happen in your breath. Maybe there's a pause at the top of the inhale or a pause at the top of the exhale, or maybe there's both. Getting to know your breath, getting to work with moving and breathing, and the more that you concentrate on the muscles and the breath, the less the mind has a chance to run away. And bring the arms down, let the shoulders melt back down, and leaving most of the rib cage on the ground, we're going to inhale, lift the hips, and exhale, lower. So watch for pulling the chin down to the chest. Try to keep that natural curve in your neck and your neck soft. Inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Firing up the backs of the legs, the glutes, and also the muscles of the stomach to pull the hips up and then slowly resist the hips lowering. Again, exploring any natural pauses that may happen in your breath. Watch for gripping in the toes. Soften the muscles of the face. And then lower the hips and take a little side sway with the knees, just making sure you soften the low back. Let go of any gripping. Leaving the left leg down on the ground and keeping the hips grounded. We're going to lift the right leg, bend the knee, draw in towards the chest, and then open it up to the side. So bring it to the side, not so far that you're pulling the left hip up, but you're bringing it to the side so the whole leg is active to hold it here. Fire up the whole leg. Watch for your lower back doing all the work. So try to keep this in the leg. And we're going to inhale as we bring our knee up towards the shoulder, and exhale as we push it away. Trying to find inner thigh. Inhale up and exhale, push. Again, if your back is doing all the work, bring the knee in towards center a little more. We're just trying to find inner thigh here. Nice and slow. The slower you go, the more you get to know your muscles, and the stronger the connection of mind to muscle works gets. Maybe even keeping your hands on your hips to remind yourself to keep your hips grounded, not letting your hips sway around, keeping the movement in the leg. And then take the right leg long, hover and hold, really strong, active leg. Bring it even with the hip, and then take it out to the side. At the point where you can hold it entirely with the leg muscles and not having the back do the work. So you may need to lift it up a little higher. Hold it out here, hover. We're going to move from the heel. So inhale, pull the heel towards the shoulder. Exhale, draw the heel back towards neutral, even with the hip. Inhale up, exhale back. really trying to find the inner thigh. And if you're doing too much work with the back, just bend the knee and return to the movement we were making before. So long leg, keep an eye on those hips. Make the work in the thigh, inner thigh. Move with your breath. Maybe engaging the stomach a little to push the hips down and keep them grounded. And then lower the right leg and give it a good shake. Bring the right leg back, foot down, knee up. And then we'll work on the left, so grounding the hips first. Bring the left leg to a hover knee bend. Bring it out towards the left. And then inhale as you draw the knee in. Exhale as you push the foot away. Whole leg active. Find the muscles of the leg. Resist the movement and move with your breath. Every time the mind wanders off the mat, return to finding the muscle connection. Inhale as you pull, exhale as you push. And bring the left leg long, hover, and we're thinking about moving from the heel. So bring it even with the hip first, then pull it out to the left as far as you're working only the leg, not the back. We're going to pull the heel towards the shoulder, the inhale, and exhale, draw it back towards the hip, neutral. Again, working inner thigh. Watch for the back doing all the work. Soften the shoulders. You want to only work the legs to make the movement smaller if the back is doing all the work here. Move with the breath. Watch for gripping in the right foot. Keep the hips grounded. And then lower the left down and give it a good shake. Left foot comes back to the ground, knees up. Give a little side sway just to make sure the low back is soft. Take the right ankle and cross it just underneath the right knee. Take the right ankle, cross it just underneath the left knee, and press the right knee away from you with the muscles of the leg. You can lift the toes of the left foot. Feel what is present in the hips. And if your hips are particularly open in the shape and you're not feeling this, you can ground the left foot, fire up the muscles of the glutes, and lift the hips a little. See if that changes the stretch. Lower the hips if you lifted them, and switch sides. Right foot down, left ankle crosses just underneath right knee, and left knee presses away from you with the muscles of the leg. You can lift the right toes, or you can lift the hips, really activating inner hip and squeezing the glutes to lift. Watch for tension in the neck. Lower the hips if you lifted them. Left foot back down. Little side sway of the knees. And then bring the knees in to give yourself a little hug. Roll on over to a side and then come on up. Tabletop position, and we'll move and breathe here. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale towards a child's. Inhale forward, exhale back. Move with your breath. Move your hands around. Land on the mat. Maybe take some spinal movements. Sway the hips. Start to have your own experience in your own body. Noticing what is present. Inhale forward. Exhale, the hips back. And you can stay with this simple movement, or if you'd like to pump it up a little, we're going to inhale forward. Exhale towards a down dog shape, not thinking too much about the shape. Inhale back, tabletop. Exhale towards a child's pose. Moving with your breath and connecting with being fully present in the physical body. And then wherever you're at, meet me in a down dog and warm up your down dog in whichever way feels right for you today. Bending knees, swaying hips, maybe bending arms and coming forwards, warming up the shoulders. Have your own experience. And then find the stillness of down dog, lifting up out of the ground, pulling the hips out of the ground, and connecting with your head below your heart. Long, slow breath. Bend the knees, look towards the hands, fire up the stomach. We're going to lift and hover the right knee. So we're going to bring the heel towards the glute. And we're going to take circles. So if this is too much for you, you're going to start in tabletop and take circles with the knee towards the right elbow. Or pumping it up from a down dog shape with knees bent. You're going to bring the heel to the glute and bring the right knee up, out, and around to the right elbow. And then back. Up, out, around, and then back. Try to find the muscles of the right leg. Make this movement slow and control. And then bring the right heel towards the ceiling. Bend the knee, bring it towards the stomach, and step through low lunge. Find your low lunge shape, maybe using your blocks. We're going to inhale forward, bent knee, exhale, sending right leg towards straight. As we're going to be working the hips today, invitation as you move this right leg straight to open up the hips a little. So very slow and mindful as you do this. Press into the right foot and then pull back, open up, finding inner thigh. Notice what is present. Move with your breath. You can change the weight on the leg, moving around. Both legs stay active, not just sinking down into the joints, but really finding the muscles of the legs. And then find your low lunge shape. Really pull up out of the ground. So both legs strong and active. Bend the back knee. Inhale as you rise all the way up to high lunge. Find a strong base. Maybe popping in that back leg a little bend in the knee. Strong and balanced, both legs pulling up out of the ground without gripping in the right toes. Stomach active. We're going to move and breathe here. So bringing the arms out, ahead of the shoulders. Inhale as you lift the arms, lengthen the right leg. Exhale as you sweep the torso forward. Bend the knee. Inhale, lift. Exhale, sweep. Move with your breath. Active, strong legs. Bring it back to a high lunge. Hands at prayer. Bring your hands to your hips. Come over that front leg and lift up off the back. Turn the toes out. Both feet, toes out, heels in. Lift. Move in, breathe in, goddess to start a goddess. Inhale, lift. Exhale, pull down. Find your legs. Inhale, lift. Exhale, pull down. Arms can stay on hips. You can just work the legs. You can find mudras with your hands. Or inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, draw the arms down and wide. Inhale. Exhale, really bringing most of your focus to your inner thighs. Active, strong legs without gripping in the toes. And then bring it down to a goddess. As low as you can go while holding strength. So not sinking into the joints and hanging out, but being strong in the legs. Hold your goddess. We're going to work through the legs, trying to keep the hips stable. So we're going to slowly lift one heel at a time, working through the legs. Finding the muscles of the legs, pulling the heel up with all of the muscles of the legs, nice and slow. Nice, slow, steady breath. If you're ready to lift both heels at a time, go ahead and play with lifting both heels. Strong, really strong legs. Tall spine, really long in the torso. Soft in the shoulders, soft in the face. And then bring it up to star legs. Turn the feet parallel and give the legs a shake. So loosen and soften. Get rid of any tension. Maybe take it side to side. Really let go. Turn the right toes back towards the top of the mat. Bend into the front leg. Pivot on the back. Frame out the front foot. Nice and slow. Right foot meets left. Plank pose. High plank. Breathe and hold. And then knees down, child's pose. Take your reset. We're moving on to the other side, so if you need to do this from tabletop, go ahead and come up to tabletop. Bring the knee up, heel towards ceiling, around towards the shoulder, and then back. Big slow circle, or meet me in down dog. Bend the knees. Nice, strong shoulders, strong core. Lift the heel to the ceiling, knee to the ceiling, and then round, forward to the shoulder, and back. Slow, steady, engaged leg. And then bring the knee towards the ceiling and step through. Low lunge on the other side. Finding your movement. Inhaling forward, exhaling left leg towards straight, and maybe a little pull of the hips. So making sure when you pull the hips open, your leg is very engaged, and you're not pulling from the back, you're pulling from inside of the leg. Move with your breath. Maybe bending the knee, taking little circles with the knee. Really feeling what is present in the legs, especially inner thigh. And find a low lunge. Really strong in your low lunge. Fire up all the muscles of the legs. Little bend in the back leg. Inhale, rise up, high lunge. Find a steady high lunge. Maybe popping in that back foot for balance. Both legs super, super strong. I'm going to inhale as we lift arms up. Exhale as we bring them back down. Inhale, lift. Lengthen left leg. Exhale, forward fold. Torso a little forward. If you've got some holiday blues or holiday stress you'd like to really push out, maybe firing this up to a little firmer. Fire breath. Inhale up. Exhale, push it out. And then find a high lunge. Breathe. This time we're going to turn toes out, return to our goddess star shape. So toes out, heels in. From here, grabbing onto your block, we're going to forward fold. So we're going to work inner thigh. So find that wide position of your feet. Closer together works more of the backs of the legs. So nice and wide. Engage the stomach, torso long. Forward fold. Connect with the muscles of the legs. So as if you're trying to pull your feet apart with the muscles of your legs. Connect. Find your block. So block is just for balance. Don't dump all your weight onto the block. You want to have the work in your legs. From here, we're going to move our hips. So locking the legs, really strong muscles. We're going to get hips a little tiny bit over to the right, feeling left inner thigh, and then back the other way. So tiny movement. I don't know if you can see with my block. It's in the hip, inner thigh, not across the back. Small movement. Connecting with inner thighs. And then maybe taking it a little bigger, bending one leg at a time. Leaving, so bend right knee, leave left leg. Active and strong on the ground. And slowly back the other side. So we're really finding inner thigh. Watch for this work starting to come into the back. We really want to keep the focus in the legs. Lock the muscles of the legs. Really find strength in the legs. And then find steady, strong legs. Little bend in the knees. Engage the stomach, hands to hips, and then lift the shoulders up out of the ground. Maybe step the feet in a little more and take those little wiggles with the legs. Wiggle the legs, soften the muscles, get that somatic shake going.
Really soften the muscles of the legs. Bend both of the knees. Turn the feet towards the front of the mat. Step towards the front of the mat. We're going to connect to our breath in mountain pose. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, prayer to heart. Inhale up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Inhale up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Hold prayer to heart. Take feet about mat width apart. We're coming to yogi squat. We're going to work it slowly. So you can keep your hands on your hips. You can make it a little hard by keeping your arms out and strong. We're going to find yogi squat as slow as we can go. So engage the legs first. Feel like you're trying to pull the mat apart with your feet without letting them move. We're going to come down as slow as we can, lowering the hips, finding the muscles of the legs. Slow, 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 slow. So find that place where you feel a little challenged and hold. Engage the stomach. Try to keep this out of the low back. Lower the hips a little more, just about an inch. Hold. Lower a little more. Lower a little more. So now we're feeling like we're pulling the knees apart with our own muscles of our legs without letting them move. Slowly lower. Maybe find your block and place it in underneath the hips if you want to take this as passive. If you are going to press into your inner thighs with your arms, press back with your legs. So you have that push and pull, opposite directions. Lengthen the spine. Breathe. Bring your hands forward. Lift up your hips. It's a great place to use your block. We're going to use our hands just to keep us balanced. We're going to have our hips and the legs engaged. And we're going to move here. So lift the hips and lower the hips, nice and slow. Really connecting to those inner thighs and also outer legs. So whole leg active. And then slowly wiggle the feet back towards hip distance, bend in the legs. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, prayer to heart. 2 more times. Inhale up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Hold your prayer at your heart center. Lift up the toes and wiggle the toes. Soften the toes. Give the legs a little wiggle. Let the legs soften a little. Land on your feet. Find your breath. Find your center. And we're going to move into our frog pose here. So this is a long holding, stretching pose. Take your time to get set up. So maybe you have your blankets to put in underneath the inside of your knees. We're going to step wide again. You're going to find your block. You're going to come forward. And then you're going to slowly lower one knee at a time to the ground. Now your knees are wide, feet are out like a frog, like frog legs. So taking this really slow. So I have to find where you can see me. I think I need to be back here. So feet out like frog legs. Find the point where you're finding the stretch in the inner thigh. So take your block, hang out for a second, find that point. You may need to adjust, especially as you start to warm up. You might need to just lift in under one knee and open it up a little more as your inner thighs open up. And then you can either stay up on the block or come down to your forearms and maybe even sinking all the way down, chest to the ground. This is a long hold, stretch pose. Watch for any discomfort in underneath the inner knee. Adjust. You can move your hips forward and back, or you can hold this as a static stretch. Watch for anything going on in the lower back. Use your props. If you're ready to take this as a static hold, maybe bringing something in underneath the forehead, maybe just your hands, lowering down and letting go. Breathing in to the inner thighs. From this position, when you're ready to come out, go really slow and careful. So bringing yourself back up to your forearms if you came all the way down. You're going to bring your toes in towards each other, and you're going to bring your hands in under your shoulders. Lift up so your body weight is onto your hands, and then slowly wiggle the knees in. One at a time. There's really no graceful way to get out of this pose. And then swing on over to a seated position. So, big open stretch. Take the legs out, open wide, get nice and tall. And then grab the thigh and roll it over. So grab it, roll it, grab the other thigh, roll it. Just notice what's present. With the heel of your hand, move it, roll it. Play. See how your legs feel. And then go the other way. Roll the other way. Moving the thigh. You can point, you can flex, you can play with the feet. Have an internal experience of what is going on in your own legs. If you have the bone structure to be able to forward fold in this space, feel free to be able to move forward to the forward fold. Play with active legs. Mindful of what happens in the low back here. So if you are compensating in the low back in this shape, bring stress to the low back, keep the torso up, and just work through inner legs, moving the feet, feeling the legs, feeling the muscles of the legs. Keep it out of the back. And then bring the legs slowly back, hip distance apart, and give a wiggle, a shake. Let go. And point and flex the feet. Start to really feel what is going on in the legs. And then lower down to the back. Land on your back. Take some wiggles with the hips. Feet down, knees up, and return to where we started just to check in and see what is present. Notice the inner thighs. Notice how they feel.
Notice how the hips feel, maybe bringing the feet, soles of the feet together, and let the knees open and really see how you feel, whether you have less gripping around the hips, maybe you feel a little tighter. Notice what is present. Bring the soles of the feet back to the ground, knees up, bring the right leg up. So left leg stays grounded, both hips stay grounded. Leg comes towards straight, and try not to lift that right hip off the ground. Find the back of the leg. And then either just holding your leg open or finding a strap, finding a band. You can play with one last lengthening of the inner thigh. So wrapping your foot into the band or strap, pressing the leg away. So nice, strong, active leg first, and then open up. So as you open up, watch for instability in the low back and hips. So you want to keep the hips grounded, and you want to keep all this in the inner leg. So if the low back feels like it's gripping, pull the stomach muscles down towards the ground as if you're really firmly pushing the hips and the rib cage into the ground. Find that place where you feel the inner thigh. You might need to play with moving the leg around. Breathe. You can move the foot or hold this static. Slowly bring the right foot back up to center, keeping both hips on the ground. Switch hands if you're holding the strap. And bring the foot just a little bit across to the left side. So now we're feeling all the way lengthening from right side of the foot to the hip. Press the hip down into the ground. And then slowly release the foot. Bring the right foot down. Take a little side sway. Notice left and right sides. And then find left leg up. Nice and long, hips grounded, active leg. You can use the band. Wrapping it around the ball of the foot. Pushing into the band. Holding the leg. Both hips grounded, rib cage grounded. So really engage the core to keep you stable on the ground. You want this work to be in the leg, not the back. Open the left leg, open to the left. Find that space where you're feeling a nice long active stretch, or maybe you're moving. Breathe. Slowly bring left leg back to center and across the body just a little, keeping the left hip grounded. So feeling opening from the left side of the foot, pinky toe side of the foot, all the way down into the hip. Active leg. Hips grounded. Soften the face. Slowly release the foot. Bring the left foot to the ground, side sway, let go of any tension in the back. Take the legs long, point the toes, and stretch from the fingertips to the toes. Arms up overhead. Lengthen front side body, lengthen the legs. And then And slowly slide the feet over to the right and the arms and shoulders over to the right, opening up left side body. Really breathe into the rib cage on the left side. Slowly slide over to the other side, feet and arms and shoulders over to the left, open right side rib cage. Watch for tension in the neck. Slowly bring the arms back down by the hips and torso and legs neutral. So back to a neutral position. We're going to work the shoulders a little bit. So maybe bring the feet to the ground, knees up, just to keep everything out of the low back. We're going to bring the hands down, almost shoulder height, palms down. So not quite shoulder height. So find the palms on the ground and then bring them just a teeny bit closer so that you have enough wiggle room. You're going to press left and right and try and get some wiggles across the shoulders. So wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Try and get the whole torso wiggling by just pressing into the palms, left, right, as quick as you can. Somatic movement. So really wiggle and shake. Let go of anything holding in the shoulder space. And then let's take a deep breath in, and with the exhale, suddenly flop and let go. See if your shoulders dropped a little more into the ground. And then leaving your hips and feet where they are. Left arm long from the shoulder. Slowly extend the right arm. So push the right arm, lift it as far away from the shoulder as possible without bringing tension into the low back. So trick is to keep low back soft and arms and shoulders active. Slowly bring this right arm across the body. No tension in the head, so in the neck, so let the head just move. And then bring the right arm and push past the left. Push, push, push. So holding active, there should be a gap like you're holding a beach ball in your hands. Push, 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 push. Watch for tension in the low back. Watch for tension in the neck. Really just working through the shoulders and the arms. Slow, slow, slow. Return back to neutral, right arm even with the shoulder, palm up. Let the shoulders soften. And then really lift and lengthen left arm without engaging the low back and the neck. Shoulders active and strong. Slowly bring this left hand all the way over and then past the right hand. So as if you're pushing past. Push, 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 push. Let the head roll to where it's comfortable. Keep this in the arms and shoulders as if you're holding a beach ball between the hands. Breathe, lengthen, reach across the upper back. And then slowly back to neutral. Flip the palms down to the ground, bring the hands a little bit lower than the shoulders, and then take the wiggles again. And this time, see if you can let go a little more. So now you know what your muscles felt like active. See if you can soften and loosen them a little more. Get the wiggles down all the way into the torso. Close your eyes. Feel the wiggles be present in your body. And take a deep breath in, and with the exhale, land wherever the body lands. Notice if the knees want to come open to the sides because we work the inner thighs and hips a lot. If that's where you land, maybe that's where you want to take your resting pose today. So if you are going to take your resting pose, in that manner today. Remember, it's a resting pose, not an extra stretch. So find the place where your knees are open. So for example, if they're all the way down to the ground without tension in the leg, still prop up. Still place something little in underneath the knee so you're above the point of your deepest stretch. Maybe it's a block. Maybe you need to be even a bolster so that you're really higher up in your inner thigh. Find your resting pose. So wherever you want to be for your resting pose today. Begin to soften into the mat, releasing tension around the shoulders, releasing tension in the face. See if you can soften the palms of your hands a little more. See if you can soften around your eyes a little more. And take a check-in with the mind. How are you doing right now? So take a check-in with the thoughts. Notice what is present. So rather than trying to force the slate clean and empty the mind, just take a check-in and really see what is present here. And then as if your thoughts were just natural firings, electrical pulses in your brain, drop from the thoughts. So as if you could fall gently backwards from the thoughts, closer to the center of the brain, and then slowly, slowly, slowly towards the inner workings of the body, towards your heart center. As if you're gently watching your thoughts, noticing that you can notice your thoughts, and then you're going to gently let go of the gripping around the thoughts. As if you've just noticed that they're just a background movie. You're just going to gently and softly draw your attention further and further inward towards the sound of your own heartbeat. And become playful with this experience. So oftentimes when we actually find the sound of our own heartbeat, the mind pops up again and it goes, oh, look, my heartbeat, and then it's gone. So notice and be playful with it. Notice what the mind does. It's the mind's job to be active. So notice what it is. Let it be what it is. And then gently, gently, gently draw your focus back down. And the more that you practice, the more that you draw inward, the easier and easier it becomes to find that inner hum. And that inner hum can be a very peaceful and soothing, comforting space. The sound of your own heartbeat. If you have more time to spend in your resting pose, feel free to just turn off the video and stay here. Take the time that your body needs to settle into the ground. If you need to finish up at the 60-minute mark, begin to land in the physical body. You're starting to feel the physical body. If your hips are open, your soles of your feet together. Bring the hands to the inner thighs. Think about that concept of ahimsa, do no harm to yourself. So bring a little comfort to your legs, sitting open, bring some circulation to your legs, and gently with your hands, bring your knees in towards each other and roll on over to a fetal position. Landing in a fetal position and thinking about that heart center space. It's the sound of our own heartbeat. And imagine that comfort spreading around you as if you were comforted in a womb. A bubble of energy, of protection, just like when we were in the womb. So that you can soften just a little more. Release into the ground. Release what is held. Let go. And rest in that heartbeat sound. Maybe you're not able to find the sound of your heartbeat yet. We've all heard the sound of a heartbeat, so maybe you can just bring it into mind. A memory of a heartbeat. As if it's all around you, protecting you, so that you can release what is held. Allow the muscles to release their burden, or allow the mind to release some of the burdens of familiar pathways in the brain that are maybe not so useful anymore. Perhaps there's an old familiar inner critic that you're ready to let go of. Imagine you're ready to release what is no longer needed and allow it to soften onto the mat. And as you come on up to a seated position, imagining feeling a little lighter, a little softer. Perhaps a little taller because your shoulders feel less weighted. Maybe a little taller because your head feels less heavy. And bring your hands to prayer in front of heart space. And connect with the concept of bringing our left and right sides to meet in front of our heart, as if accepting ourselves as whole and complete, precisely as we are. Create this familiar pattern in your brain, this comforting position, like a little ritual. Find a little peace in this pose, so that the more that you come to this pose, the more powerful it becomes. More easily we can connect to just being at peace for a moment. The more that we build on these little moments of peace and accepting ourselves, no matter what is going on around us, the easier it is to find equilibrium when all the world is swirling around us, when our thoughts are swirling, when our emotions are swirling, when our life feels like it's in chaos. So connect to being whole and complete and at peace for a moment, for a few breaths more. throughout your day whenever you feel unsettled, whenever you feel as if you've fallen off center. May you find the time to return to any of your familiar poses. Maybe just hands over your heart, finding center. And may you give yourself the patience and kindness and understanding to return to this pose as often as you need to. Sneaking little moments of patience and kindness for yourself as often as you need to. May we all know a little love, a little light, a lot of connection. Thanks for joining me.